This is the start of segment 3, which is going to introduce the law of demand and supply. Okay, so in the previous segment, which is the introduction to economics segment, I explained to you the circular flow model, where it comes from. It started from the idea of trade, and then we said that we should reorganize it so that we can put all the producers on one side, the consumers on the other side, and look at producers itself in terms of various kinds of things that they do besides production. You have to transport the product, you have to store the product, and other side, when you have to collect money from customers, you need banks and so on, which will intermediate between deposits of customers and loans that the company will get and so on. So all this put together, you get this category called firms, and in this side you get this category called households, which basically is an aggregation of all the people in one unit who are consuming similarly in some sense, right? All the people in one house, they are all buying things together, right? They are not buying individually. Some things they buy individually, but most of the things they are buying newspaper, milk, rice, gray, all these things, most of the things like that they are buying together. So we said we'll put households on one side and firms on the other side, and we said that the firms basically interact with the households via product markets, whereas the households basically provide to the firm resources like land, labor and capital through the resource markets. So this is the picture that we drew. We called it the circular flow model because there is a flow, right? The firms basically, by selling products and services to households, they are getting money, and that money they are spending on resources, which is going back to households. So the money is flowing from households to firms, and then firms back to households. Like that, the money is keeping on going round and round, right? That's why it's called the circular flow model. Okay, so in this segment, I am going to introduce you the concept of demand and supply, right? Basically, the concept underlying the way in which markets function, how it works. So all this starts with customer and the customer's willingness to pay. So which aggregates, we will see eventually, into what is called a demand. So just let's start very simply. Let us start like this, right? Let us say that a customer is there, single customer is there, and the customer wants to buy a mobile phone, and this customer is willing to pay 8,000 rupees for this smartphone. Okay, up to 8,000 rupees they are willing to pay. If it's 7,000, that's good. If it's 5,000 rupees, even better, but not more than 8,000 rupees. Okay, at 8,000 rupees, if they find the price is 9,000, the customer is not going to buy it because they don't have the ability to pay 9,000 rupees, right? So they don't want to buy it. So I could try and picture this, right? I could try to make a picture. Visual is always good. Try to make picture of this. So what I need basically is, on one axis I am going to put price. So various price points like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We discussed all these price points. I put that in the x axis. On the y axis I put how many phones are sold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put all the phones. Then what I know basically is that if the price is below 8,000 rupees, one phone will be sold, and when it crosses 8,000 rupees, 0 phones will be sold. So clearly this graph looks like this, right? So one fold is sold for price below 8,000 rupees, and above 8,000 rupees, I am assuming at 8,000 rupees it's transitioning from 1 to 0, and above 8,000 rupees it's gone to this thing 0, right? You can ask what happened at 8,000 rupees. You can say maybe the answer at 8,000 rupees also is 1, but after that it is 0. Okay, so you can define the function like that. So this is a function basically. It's a step function, right? It's a step function. It's going from 1 to 0 like this. Now in this picture, a second customer comes. Okay, the second customer comes. This second customer is willing to buy a phone only if it is less than or equal to 7,000 rupees. If it is above 7,000 rupees, this person is not going to buy. So what is the picture going to change to now? Clearly, if it is, the picture looks like this now, right? If your price is less than 7,000 rupees, both the customers are going to buy. So you get 2 units sold. If it is between 7 and 8,000 rupees, only one customer, the first customer, is going to buy because that guy is willing to buy up to 8,000 rupees. So he will buy it, and above 8,000 nobody buys. So the function looks like this: 2 up to 7,000, 1 from 7,000 to 8,000, 0 from 8,000. Of course, one can say, why stop here? One can extend it. Let us say that there are 5 customers. These 5 customers have willingness to pay a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 we saw as the first customer, 7 we saw as the second customer. I have added 3 more customers with willingness to pay 4, 5 and 6. Now, this business that we are saying that there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of willingness to pay is what is described in statistics we have already studied as a distribution. You might ask, here I put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, so it's uniform distribution, but what if 4 had 1, 5 had 3, 6 had 10, 7 had 4, 8 had 2 or something, then you will get some curve, distribution curve, and you can appropriately use that to create this demand curve. But right now I am assuming it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which means uniform distribution. I mean it's basically all the people have there are only one customer of each type. Okay. So if it's like that, then you know basically that if it is less than 4,000 rupees, I will have 5 customers. Between 4 and 5,000 rupees, I will have 2 customers. I mean, sorry, if it is 4 and 5,000 rupees, the fellow who is willing to pay only up to 4,000 rupees will drop out. So one person drops out here and we get 4 customers. When you go between 5 and 6,000, 2 people drop out of the market and we are left with 3 customers. When you come here, what has happened now is 3 customers have dropped out, we are left with 2. When you come here, 4 customers have dropped out, we are left with the only first one, and above 8,000 all the 5 customers have dropped out, and so we have nobody. So the curve looks like this. Now clearly, if you start putting more and more people, then you will see that this curve will look something, right? You can make a straight line, this will become smooth, right? More and more smooth it will become, and you will get a straight line like that as we add more and more customers. And we look at the distribution. The distribution is more interesting. It's not 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, but something else. The curve will become in a shape like this. Some shape like this it will take. So that curve which you are getting is called the demand curve. Okay, you are getting the demand curve because what you are doing really is you are aggregating individual willingness to pay. Right? There is an individual willingness to pay of first customer, second customer, third, fourth. Like that, you are aggregating across all customers their demands. The first customer's demand is that demand function we saw, right? He will be willing to buy if it's less than 8,000 rupees. So demand function is a step function. Second person's demand function is another step function. So you added all these step functions, so you got this. Okay. If you add many of them, it will become smooth like that. Now one can say, in the case of mobile phones, I understand it is a step function. What about wheat or something like that? It doesn't look like it will be a step function. Okay. You get what is called a demand schedule, right? You will get something like this. So here how we understand it basically is the customer is saying that if you give me 10 rupees per kilo wheat, I will buy 20 kilos. So clearly the customer seems to have a budget for wheat in his mind. He's got a total income in a month out of which he has said I will spend 200 rupees on wheat or something like that. So if you give him for 10 rupees, he will be willing to buy 20 kilos of wheat. So 20 into 10, 200 rupees. On the other hand, if you give 11 rupees a kilo, 200 rupees he can only accommodate 18 kilos of wheat. 12 rupees a kilo, only 16 can be accommodated, something like that. Okay. So as we keep increasing the price, the amount of wheat that the person is willing to buy at that price, at 15, he is willing to buy only 13 kilos of wheat. So the amount of wheat that the person is willing to buy at different prices keeps changing, right? So we have different. So it's not like 0 and 1. If you give me at less than 8,000 rupees, I'll buy it. If I don't, I'm not buying it. The 0, 1. Here is not like that. Here there's a quantity and you're saying as the price keeps increasing, the quantity keeps decreasing. So how do I picture this? Way to picture this, I can say, let me put the price like this, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Here, let me put the quantity like this, 13, 14, 15, up to 20. And each of these points I can plot. So 10 is 20, so there will be a point here, presumably, like that. So I can plot. So for 10 there is 20, for 11 there is 18, like that I can plot all the points. So that gives me some points. If I really want to understand, of course, the price can be between 10 and 11, then what do? I interpolate. So I join these two with a straight line. I join these two with a straight line. Like that I can keep joining with lines and I get this picture. So this graph, this picture, demand curve in some sense, tells you for different price points. This is one customer now. Okay, we are not aggregating many customers. It's a single customer. It's saying for a single customer for different prices, what is the quantity? So this is the graph for what was that step function graph for a single unit like mobile phone. This for that step function graph has become a graph like this for one customer, and each customer will have a graph like this. So just like we added the step functions, we have to add these graphs now. Okay, that is what we have to do. All right, to get the demand. So what you observe here basically is that you can read this both ways. When the price rises, right, when the price rises, means you're going down this table, then the demand goes down. But I can also read it the other way. There is nothing which says that it should go less. It can go less also. If the price decreases, if I decrease the price, the quantity will go up. So if I go like this, quantity will go down. If I go like this, quantity will go up. So both ways I can read it. There is no direction else. Okay, that is how one has to understand. In other words, I can go either like this in this chart, or I can go like this in this chart. There is no direction in this chart. There is no arrow in this chart. Okay, you can go this way or you can go that way, right? That is the demand versus price. This is called the demand schedule. This is called the demand graph, right? Now, similarly, in the same way, just like we drew this, one can talk about suppliers. Now, the supplier is similar thinking, I mean, at what price should I sell? He's thinking, right? Supplier is thinking, shopkeeper. He's thinking that at 10 rupees, I don't want to sell all my wheat. If I get 15 rupees, I have 20 kilos of wheat, let us say. At 15 rupees, I'm willing to sell all the 20 kilos. But if you give me only 10 rupees, I don't feel like selling everything. I will keep something. I will sell off 13 kilos and 7 kilos I will keep, because who knows, tomorrow price might go up to 15 rupees, then I can get some money, additional money. So I will keep some in reserve and sell only whatever I feel like selling. Some smaller number I will sell. So as the price keeps increasing, the seller is willing to sell more and more, okay, because they think that they can, if they keep the, rather than selling it, if they keep it in the reserve, maybe tomorrow I will get a better price and I can sell it. That's what they are thinking. So that's why they don't sell everything, right? But if they a good price, he gets 15 rupees, he will say, I am clearing up, I will sell up everything and go off, okay, that's fine. So you can plot this again, you can chart this. So I put all the prices here, I put all the quantities here. You can see that as the price keeps increasing, the person is willing to sell more and more. So this is the chart which shows the selling quantity with price. Now what one can do basically is, you can take the demand quantity and the supply quantity and put them both in the same chart. Okay, here you see basically when the price goes up, supply goes up, price goes down, supply goes down. Not very surprising. Okay, I can put both of them in the same chart. So this is what I have done here. So I have put here, this is the supply chart which we already saw. This is the demand chart that we already saw. There is only one customer, there is only one supplier. Okay, there is only a single customer and a single supplier. But I have put that single customer's demand over here and that single supplier's demand over here, quantity over here, and I put the price, same price, right? The price is common, and against the price I put the demand and supply. So you can see that when the price goes up, the demand goes down and the supply goes up. When the price goes down, the demand goes down, demand goes up when the price goes down, but supply goes down. So, so suppose you are here at this point, at this place, basically at this price, right, at 11, you get a very high demand, but you have no supply. You have no supply, right? You have a very high demand. You have a lot of people asking for the product at that price, willing to buy that product at that price, but there is nobody who is, that shopkeeper is not willing to sell, right? So he is only willing to sell some number, like small amount here. So what happens basically is that it will start slowly, the thing will start to move like this. It will start to move like this, right? And similarly, if you are here, somewhere here on this side, 14, you will see basically that at this point a lot of goods, the shopkeeper is willing to sell a lot of wheat, but nobody is willing to buy the wheat. So the shopkeeper will say, look, nobody is buying the wheat, I must reduce the price. Here what they are saying basically, the people are willing to, the shopkeeper is, if 11 rupees, the shopkeeper is finding a lot of demand, shopkeeper is saying, so much demand is there, why am I keeping my price at 11 rupees, I should increase the price. Here he is saying I will reduce the price. So they are basically, the price is either moving, both ways it will move and eventually it will end up here, which is called the equilibrium price. Okay. So in this case you can see the equilibrium price is between 12 and 13 and the equilibrium quantity is between 15 and 16, right. So that is where the two curves intersect, and this price at 12.5 rupees, everything that the seller is willing to sell, the buyer is willing to buy. So the market, we say, is cleared. Cleared means, so the seller, of course the seller has maybe 20 kilos, he is keeping some, but whatever he brought to the market, he cleared, right. He already wanted to sell, he was able to sell, and the buyer also, whatever they wanted to buy, they were able to buy at that price. So the market is cleared at that price. There is no shortage or excess at that price. So that's called that's why it's called the equilibrium, okay, and things move to the equilibrium. Now we know basically, therefore, because of this equilibrium model, we know that the price is the result of market actions of buyers and sellers. If there are more buyers, the price will start to go up. If there are more sellers, the price will start to go down. And basically, therefore, buyers and sellers interact, and the interaction of buyers and sellers basically gives rise to price. And so many times what happens is that you say, why can't we, instead of writing price in the x-axis and quantity in the y-axis, right? We have written price in the x-axis and quantity in the y-axis. But it looks like the price itself is a result of the quantity that is demanded and supplied. Price is a result of quantity actions, right? It's not a it's not, it's where did it come from? It's not how did the seller decide to set a price in the first place? There are multiple sellers, how can they all coordinate and set the price? They cannot. So the market determines the price. So price is an outcome. If price is an outcome, should we not be putting demand in the x-axis and price in the y-axis? This is another question, okay? And this makes sense. Sometimes we put price as a result of demand. This makes sense because also if you look at it, when you sell to customers, you can do discounted pricing, right? It happens all the time. You can go to the customer and say, look, I am willing to give you 10 rupees provided you buy 20 kilos. Then I am willing to give you at 10 rupees. If you are going to buy only 13 kilos, then I can only give you at 15 rupees. This is called discount table, right? So if you are buying large quantities, I am willing to give you discounts, something like that. So this kind of table can also be constructed, which is a kind of inverse relationship between price and quantity, right? Instead of having the price on the x-axis and quantity on the y-axis, you put the quantity on the x-axis and price on the quantity on the x-axis and price on the y-axis, and we have drawn the same diagram. But regardless of how you draw it, whether you put price here, quantity there, quantity here, price there, whatever it is, this line is a line and you will be moving up and down the line, doesn't matter, right? So once you have drawn the line or the table, it doesn't matter which you put column, this column first or that column first, the table is the same, okay? So as far as you are looking at the line and the table, the analysis will come out the same, whichever way you look at it, whichever way you put it, whether you put price in the x-axis or quantity in the x-axis. Okay. Last thing I want to discuss in this segment is the effect of income, okay. Now assume that there are two customers, one customer is high income customer, let us say the person has a high salary, and another is a low income customer, is a lower salary. Then you can see basically that the high income customer is willing to buy for as a higher budget basically, because he's got high income, he's got a more budget to spend on wheat, and so if you put the price in rupees per kilo for the same price, the high income customer may be buying more of the item than the low income customer. That's what I've shown here. So you can plot it. So you can see basically that these are the prices here, this is the quantities. So the the lower income person is here at the same price. This person was willing to buy 15 kilos, but this person is the higher income person is willing to go and buy 16 kilos because he has that much more money to spend. So therefore, is willing to buy additional kilo, right, for the same price. So so the higher income curve, typically higher income curve, the demand curve for a higher income person will be higher than the demand curve for the lower income. So the general tendency is increasing income pushes this curve outward, right? So one can say basically that with more and more income, people's demand curve will keep going out like this. That's what will happen, all right? Now sometimes strange things happen, right? Strange thing happens. Like for example, it may so happen, this strange thing happens because there is not just one good, there are other goods, like there are substitutes. So people can eat, the reason I buy wheat is because I want to eat chapati or something, that's why, right? So I could eat wheat, I could buy wheat, make it into atta and then make chapatis out of it and eat it, or I can buy rice, cook the rice and eat it. These are two ways. So maybe my preference is for rice, not wheat. I like rice more than wheat. In fact, actually tendency in India is that people are consuming more rice than wheat and all. So more income basically might mean that if I have more income, I'm earning more, I might decide to replace wheat with rice. When I have less income, I can't afford rice, so I eat wheat. That could be possible. In which case, wheat is called an inferior good. Okay, it's called an inferior good. I mean, it's not necessarily. I mean, I'm just taking it as an example. It's not that wheat is inferior or anything. I'm just saying that if at all it turns out that people switch from wheat to rice when their income goes up, then wheat is called an inferior good compared to rice, right? I'm not therefore saying that wheat is inferior, rice is superior or something like that. Okay, I'm just saying that in this example that we have taken, it could so happen. It could be that people replace wheat by rice. So in that case, what happens basically is that the curve looks like this. So the higher income curve actually becomes lower than the lower income curve, right? If you saw this curve, what we saw is that the higher income curve is higher than the lower income curve. But here what happened? The higher income curve went below the lower income curve. Why did it go below? It went below because the person with higher income decided to drop wheat and move to rice. That is why it went below. Okay. So such a good is called inferior good. So it's very important to understand firstly whether the good is a normal good as it's called or an inferior good. If it's an inferior good, then you should not apply the principle that increasing income will push the curve outward. right? Increasing income will, if it's an inferior good, it may not, actually it may push it the other way. But generally, most of the time, you will find basically that increasing income pushes the demand curve outward. In rare cases like this, you might find that certain goods are substituted out for better goods, okay, and they're called inferior goods. All right, with that little bit of introduction to economics, which is understanding the circular flow and understanding the demand and supply that happens in the markets, I think you have some language that will allow you to understand most of the context with which we will be speaking about things in this course. So that's the end of this segment.